I'm the chair of the board, and I'd like to introduce you to the other members of the board. Stephanie Wyman, Charlie Johnston, Frank Kochman, John Muscatelli, Mark Baer, and to my right, Marla Keene and Marty Gillies are the city staff. So thank you all for coming or attending. There are a number of ways to participate in this meeting tonight. You can attend here in person, you can attend virtually, and you can attend via phone. It's important if you're here in person to sign up out back in the sign-up sheet to document that you're a participant should you ever wish to take any further action. And similarly, if you're online, please send through the chat box your contact information to record your participation. And if you're calling in, please email your contact information to mkeene@southburlingtonvt.gov. This meeting is being recorded, and I would like to start by going over emergency evacuation procedures. There are 2 doors in the back of each corner of the auditorium. In the event of an emergency, you would simply exit those doors and turn either right or left to get outside. Are there any additions, deletions, or changes in the order of agenda items? Nope. Are there any announcements or reminders? Nope. Okay. Are there any comments and questions from the public that are not related to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, we'll move ahead to agenda item number 5. This is site plan application SP 2417 of SBRC Properties LLC to amend a previously approved plan for an outdoor storage yard. The amendment consists of constructing a 1.02 acre paved parking lot and changing the use of commercial parking facility, a 2 commercial parking facility at 1877 Williston Road. The commercial parking facility is a conditional use in this zoning district, and therefore the application has been postponed in order to be rewarned as a conditional use application. The rescheduled hearing will occur on June 18th, 2024. Do we need a motion for that?
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
It's just for anyone who came to that one.
Okay, agenda item number 6. Conditional use application CU 2405 of Cosentino and Manning to amend a previously approved conditional use approval for a single-family home. The amendment is to increase the amount of the building that is proposed to be set back less than 5 feet from the side lot line at 11 White Place. At the time of the packet publication, the applicant has indicated it is their intention to withdraw the application, but a written request to withdraw has not been submitted. Staff recommends the board allow the staff to provide an update at the time of the hearing. If a formal withdrawal is not submitted, the board may choose to deny the application. So staff, what's the update?
So we still haven't, we've been very proactive about asking them for a formal withdrawal, and we have not yet received one. I have briefly reviewed state statute and been unable to confirm whether the board can even hear something without the applicant there. So I would recommend that the board close the hearing, and then I will provide you with advice from the city attorney on how you should proceed.
And you'll provide us that advice when?
At your next deliberation.
Okay, good, thanks. So I would entertain a motion to close conditional use 2405.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No? Okay, good. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 7. This is site plan application SP 2419 of the City of South Burlington to amend a previously approved plan for a 2.1 million gallon water storage tank. The amendment consists of constructing a second 2.1 million gallon water tank that will be identical to the existing water tank in height, diameter, and capacity, and modifying the existing landscaping plan at 1215 Dorset Street. Are there any disclosures or recusals? Okay, hearing none. Who is here for the applicant, please?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tom DePietro. I'm Director of Public Works for the City of South Burlington.
Good evening. Joe Duncan, General Manager, Champlain Water District. We are the property owner and will ultimately, hopefully, take ownership of the tank once completed per
Okay.
our policies.
Is it just the two of you?
You moved forward so quickly. Our project engineer isn't here at the moment, but I'm feeling pretty good that Joe and I can handle this.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to swear
When he
you
shows
in.
up, yeah.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. So, could you please give us a brief overview of your project? It's a fairly simple, straightforward one, but just give us an overview, please.
It is, yeah. So our project is to build a second water tank at the property on Dorset Street. It's going to be of the same size and height, color, look as the existing tank. We have used the water in that tank, so there's 2.1 million gallons in that tank. So between what that service area uses every day and what we've allocated to projects that are currently being built, like those outside in city center, we've over 90% utilized the water in that tank. So our solution is to build this second tank so we can serve the city water for the next 50 plus years.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep,
You've probably received and read the staff report.
I have.
And what we typically do is go through the staff report and focus on the highlighted red comments and have a discussion with you where the board can ask any questions. So we'll start with question number one. This is regarding the height restriction. So obviously the height of the proposed water tank is higher than is typically allowed, and so the question is, would applying the existing, see if I get this right, the existing limit of 35 feet interfere with the intended functional use of the tank?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
And why is that?
So the pressure we're able to serve is determined by the height of the tank. So there's a couple of reasons actually, but so we need to have a similar size tank so we can maintain a certain elevation within that tank to maintain minimum pressures in the system. And Joe,
That is correct.
mixing.
Basically, the pressure within the system is driven by the height of the tank. So if the existing tank is 125 feet tall, to create a system pressure varying with a minimum of 35 throughout the city with a maximum of about 120. So if you build the tank at 35 feet, you basically won't have the ability to use that as a twin.
Thank you. Another extremely naive question. Where does the water come from? What's the source of the water that goes into the tank?
The source is Shelburne Bay, pump station with an intake located off of Red Rocks. Sucks water out of the lake and pumps it up to our facility at 403 Queen City Park Road, where it's treated and then pumped out to from South Burlington all the way over to Jericho, up to Milton, down to South Burlington, to Shelburne.
And where are the pipes where it's pumped through?
Underground in a variety of locations
are.
throughout
Okay.
throughout the city and in the county. So
Okay, it's kind of
mostly-
magic.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, okay.
This, I'm sorry, Charlie, go ahead.
The water's not pumped directly to the tank, it's pumped into the system which feeds the tank.
It is pumped into the system, and there is a line that takes it from the main transmission main out of our plant over to that tank, and then that tank is dedicated. The current tank that's there is dedicated specifically to South Burlington's
But
water
something
use.
has to pump it 125 feet high, right?
Correct. That's our pumps out of our plant. Yeah, our plant pumps at a gradient that pretty much takes care of water tanks from Williston in the Taft's Corners area over to Essex Junction and out to Colchester exit 17 area.
And where's the pump?
In our building at in our treatment plant at 403 Queen City Park Road, we have 5 350 horsepower pumps. Usually run about 3 of them.
There's a lot going on under the streets.
Happy to give you a tour anytime you'd like to come to the plant. We'd love to give you a
I
tour.
might take you up on
Sounds like a great school trip sometime for kids.
Yeah.
Any other
Or
questions?
anybody, adults.
Well, while we're overanalyzing engineering questions that really aren't our purview, just a question: the water mains coming out of those tanks, you're going to put them next to each other. Obviously, the increased volume is going to have to go through the mains that exist. You have enough existing capacity to handle
Yes.
double the volume.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Any other questions before we move on? Okay. Comment number 2. The question is, are the proposed modifications at the rear setback appropriate? Staff recommends the board discuss the proposed water storage tank location with the applicant and determine whether granting the proposed modification of the rear setback dimensional standard is appropriate in this case.
If you give me a second, I'll pull up a plan. Sorry, I wasn't
Sure,
totally
thanks.
ready.
Happy to explain the siting location. It's the plot of land that's owned by Champlain Water District is a very limited site. It was purchased with the intent of being able to put a second tank there one day. We wound up putting in a radio antenna that serves both the city of South Burlington. It's actually owned by the city of South Burlington, leased on our property, that provides radio service for the emergency services for South Burlington, as well as our radio for our telemetry. So that's located in the southeast corner of the property. The existing tank is located in the northwest corner of the property. So really the only place left to locate that tank physically on the property without interfering with existing piping, because there are some dashes there and I realize you can't tell what's there, but there are water lines that come down the road and into that existing tank, and we need to come off of those lines and over to the tank. So really the only clean spot to land that tank is that southwest corner, which does present limitations on setbacks.
Okay.
Another question, not directly on the point of the application. I gather you need this tank because you're nearing capacity of the existing one. Correct?
That is correct. The city of South
Yeah.
Burlington, I can let Tom speak to the growth.
Capacity is determined not by the source of supply, but by what, population or increased use over time? Or what are the factors that get you toward capacity?
So it's usage, so measured volume of water that goes in and out of that tank every day. Plus, whenever there's new development, they're required to get a water allocation. You've probably seen that in various applications that come in front of you. They need a wastewater and a water allocation. So we take those water allocations for, say, a building in the new downtown here, and we say, okay, based on what's in the building, you're going to need about 1,200 gallons of water per day. So we sort of track that in a spreadsheet. We add it to our usage, and we sort of add all that up. So once we get over 90%, we have to start the process of engineering, designing, and installing more storage capacity in our system.
Other questions? Are we ready to move on? Frank, you look tentative.
Pardon?
Are you good? Can we move on?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Question or comment number 3. This is regarding the winter operations and the snow storage areas. What can you tell us, please, about that, your plan for that?
Yeah, so currently Champlain Water District owns the site, so we manage the snow at the site. And typically what happens is we wind up pushing that snow down the road and then cutting it towards the that would be the east side of the property, because currently where the current tank is located, and I'm sure it'll be a topic of discussion as we go along, are a set of trees where the current tank, where the new tank is proposed to go. So right now, snow when it's pushed is pushed off to the east side. It's also pushed down the road and off to the side, to the left or the right as it's plowed down the road to get into the fenced-in area. But once in the fenced-in area, it's pushed up against that clear area that is being waved around by staff.
Questions? Okay. question, comment number 4 regarding landscaping. So, applicant, you've committed to preserving, relocating, or replacing the landscaping features rather than eliminating them. And I guess we'd like to know more about what your plans are for doing that.
Yeah, some of the challenges for this particular site are the limited land area that is not in conflict with existing utilities in locating that. Actually, I know that that we were before you as Champlain Water District on another project and had a discussion about how do we handle landscaping requirements on small
Right.
sites with that. We are. I don't know, Tom, that we've identified exactly how we were going to handle that. I think some of the trees we were hoping to relocate along the west property line. There is along the fence on the on that side. I wasn't sure that we can get all of them along there. I know the consulting engineer was looking at that, and I was kind of hoping Jeff would be here to answer some of that. So I don't have an exact answer for you, but what I can tell you is it does become very challenging on a small site, and we're willing to work with you
Sure.
to get wherever we need to be on that particular requirement.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
I guess just it'd be nice if we resolved this tonight and the applicant hasn't committed to not removing the landscaping. I think that's something that's on the table. If the board's comfortable with that, is just there's maybe like I looked at the old approval. It's maybe like $11,000 worth of trees were planted there. So in theory, that's $11,000 worth of public good. I don't think it's super precedented for the board to allow that just to be eliminated, but it's certainly within your authority. So that's an option. It could also be like you could replace it with one $11,000 sculpture that could be put somewhere near the right of way. There's other options. I think if we punt, that means you got to come back, and that seems like a little bit, I don't know, inexpedient. So just wanted to open that up. I don't know if you're feeling generous or swayed by the public good aspect of our water tanks, but that's an option as well.
I don't know what I know. Somewhere down the line, a bench and some other things were located at the entrance to the site. This is not something I've kicked around with Tom, so Tom, you can stop me at any point in time here. But I had contemplated, do we do something on that sculpture or something, something aesthetically water related up at the front on that north side of the intersection with Dorset Street. Somewhere in there is a little bench. I don't know that anybody ever uses it because the bikeway went on to the other side of the road. I also don't know if the city would be, I realize it's not our property, if there was the ability to put something sculpturally or educationally on the bike path side of things. So I don't know what's within the ability of the DRB to make such approvals, but those are some things that I had contemplated to add some beautification, maybe even some art and or some education
Another potential option is maybe
based on.
like a mix, like they could relocate as many of the trees as they can to that west property line, and then the board could say whatever is left over, you don't have to replace. Like whatever you can't fit, we'll allow you to remove without replacement. So a couple options. I think for me, it would be cool if we could get to a point where we could close this hearing and then in deliberations, you have enough information to come up with a reasonable condition, and that the applicant has had enough time to hear kind of where your heads are at and weigh in on whether they think that's reasonable.
The 11,000 that you threw out, that was the original cost of planting, and they've been there for some time, I take. So those trees are significantly larger than they were. So the
More valuable. Yeah.
total DBH would be considerably higher, and the value of those would be considerably higher. I mean, it's a stand of trees, which isn't a bad thing. So, in my opinion, there's removing those, and then whatever landscaping the new project would generate would seem to make sense to capture that someplace. I agree the site is pretty small, and it may be difficult to do that. I don't know what it would take to get the city to buy into doing something, but on the bike path on the other side or something like that may make sense.
How many trees have to go from what we're looking at here?
The order, is it 20? 15, 20?
All right, so if 12 have to go, that's just about all of them.
Yeah,
It is all the trees that are seen there. So if we count them,
Okay.
right. which, if I understand the packet
There's like
correctly,
14
was
trees there.
was most everything that was required to be planted when the first
Right.
water tower went in.
Yes.
And if you factor in inflation, that's much more than $11,000. So, what are your thoughts, board? What would it take to see if art on the other side of the road could be an option, Marla and Marty?
Well, you've got the person with the authority to make that decision in the room.
That's right.
Oh, I see.
I
Okay.
also approve right-of-way permits that may include art. So I think, you know, we're hoping our engineer would be here because he was looking at this question for us this evening. There may be some space on the east side, on kind of to the right of the road there, we could fit some trees in and replace these. We also looked at along the road, but there's pipes on either side of that road, so that's not a great spot for trees that we want to last a long time. You know, certainly within our right of way or on city property, we have the ability and authority to install art or certainly additional trees as necessary. If you could zoom out a little bit, Marla, just.
Well, could we leave it that they come back with a proposal for some tree replacement somewhere? I mean, as I read the statute, they don't have to do, I mean, clearly the trees are going to interfere with the intended functional use, right? So they gotta go if these folks feel like they gotta go. And they're not, if there's no place to put them, that makes sense.
Could we make a compromise that you'll plant half the trees along the barbed wire fence on the east side? Because we're going to get to that comment here in a second as well. That be a compromise?
On the east, so where Marla's mouse
Where
is
your
right
snow
now.
storage would typically go, right?
Oh,
Along that fence line.
would that interfere with
Yeah,
stuff?
Do you want me to switch back to the plan?
I just want to double check what's in there.
Yeah, it looks like the underground electricity runs along the road.
And then there's.
Sorry, if you're gonna,
If you're going to testify, we need to swear you in.
See if I can
Do
zoom
you
in here.
want to testify? Okay.
I'm looking at,
There's.
go down to the next plan, Marla,
Well, we don't, but there's.
to the proposed site. Nice. I was looking at like right where the 425 contour crosses the property line and the fence line, and between there and then the safety fence note. It doesn't look like there's anything in there. But
I do believe we could fit something in there. The underground electric. I'm trying to think. I don't see where the water line plans are on this drawing.
it looks like there is for the proposed tank. I don't
Yes,
know.
that's my only. And that's the. Do you know where that is, Tom?
Those water lines to the west of the underground electric.
So this says contractor shall verify the exact location, size, and depth of
Yep.
water line.
I guess I gotta go to the next
I was
plan.
trying to
There we
figure
go.
out exactly where
Yeah.
where the water line goes from the. Oh, here we are.
Yeah,
On the
so south
back
of the new hydrant.
Yep. Yeah.
on that
So
fence.
as long as we can get away from the new hydrant that's going in there, we'd be able to do something south of that.
Yeah, maybe in between the water line to the hydrant, the new water lines to the tank, the barbed wire, and the communications tower. That's sort of like open field area.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not proposing they all go in there because I think that's still the snow storage
Yes.
area,
So that's
right?
no storage.
But along the fence line to help break up the
Yeah.
visual aesthetic of the fence, because we're going to get to that in a second.
The one thing that we try to do from a safety perspective is, and I'd want to just look at how the trees are planted. We do try to make sure that we have. I know that people don't want to see the tanks potentially, but we like to see the tanks, especially from a security and safety perspective. But I would think that there would be a way to stagger them so that you can maintain that goal of planting them, but also not necessarily blocking. And I realize you have the gate, so it's not we're not fully blocking the visual of the tanks as you walk around it to be able to see if there's something going on. If we ever get a security alarm, our first thing is to is to notify the police and also possibly send someone up to look around, but not engage without the police there. So, being able to just see inside, it kind of helps everything. But I don't think that level of trees would cause that problem.
So,
Half or something like that.
Yeah, I don't see the point in putting it on any of the other fence lines except for maybe the south one, because you already have natural vegetation.
What about along the driveway?
There's underground
there's too
electric
much
and water
utilities.
lines.
Water line
Oh,
on
I
the
see it.
north,
Yeah.
underground electric on the, actually,
Water on
water
both.
line on both sides, actually.
so I know Marty expressed a desire to close this hearing tonight. Board, what is your what is your pleasure? Do you want to have some conditions written that allows some flexibility, or do you want to continue this hearing so the applicant can come back to us?
Well, are you willing to say you can install, say, half a dozen trees along that line?
Yeah,
I feel comfortable that we can do that. You may not be a straight line, and maybe something like Marla has put up on there, but we would get that number of trees in that space.
So we could formulate a condition that,
Okay.
formulate that as a condition, and you can do some back and forth on the exact language of the condition.
Okay. Charlie, you started to nod or say something.
I'm good with ending it.
Okay, good. All right. All right, any other comments before we move on? All right, number 5, this is about complying with the stormwater section.
we can comply with those
Okay.
requests. I think it was an erosion control plan and
Okay, thank you. And one last comment. This is number 6, and this is about the proposed fencing and the barbed wire for security. Tell us your thoughts about how to provide adequate security and yet comply with the LDRs.
The current site has the proposed barbed wire fencing that we are looking to install. And it's our standard practice to have a barbed wire fence, not a razor wire or ribbon wire or anything like that, just a standard barbed wire fence to prevent, anyone who wants to get in is probably going to get in, but at least it is a preventative from a security measure to help protect the site. So we'd like to continue we have a section of fence that's already in there that is this type, and we'd like to match it to maintain that level of security at the site.
And do we have the authority to waive that?
Well, it's just that it would be similar to the height. 4413 would say you can't restrict the intended functional use. So our regulation that prohibits barbed wire fencing would be moot if the applicant makes the point that they would restrict their intended functional use.
Similar to the airport.
Not whether we can waive it, it's whether we can impose it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Not a waiver.
So are we good with the plan to have that? Okay, good. Any other questions or comments before we turn to public comment? Okay, thank you. Are there any members of the public who would like to make comments about this project, proposed project? Any online?
Nope, no one online.
Okay. All right, I would entertain a motion to close this hearing.
Make a motion, we close site plan application SP 2419 of City of South Burlington.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay, thank you.
thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
It's closed. Okay, the next item is sketch plan application SD 2407 of Eric Sample to subdivide an existing 1.37 acre lot developed with a single-family home and detached accessory dwelling unit into 2 lots of 1 acre and 0.37 acres for the purpose of establishing the existing single-family home and accessory dwelling unit on Lot 1 and constructing a new single-family or duplex home on Lot 2 at 25 and 55 Highland Terrace. Are there any recusals or conflicts people have to. Yes, okay. Who is here for the applicant, please? Gwen.
Can you
Gwen.
make sure you're,
Corinne.
no, you need to press the button. There we go.
This is my fiance, Corinne Fortune, who is with me tonight.
Okay, it's a sketch hearing, so we don't have to swear you in.
Oh, I was hoping that we were coming to a conclusive hearing. I've already been to one. This is my second hearing before this board. I've answered a number of the questions from the first meeting.
Did you have a chance to read the packet?
I have, yes.
Okay, so it's outlined in the packet that the sketch expired. And so in order to move forward, you need to redo sketch. Sketch
Okay.
expires after 6 months.
Okay.
And so though your application is unchanged, the rules have changed and there's some discussion of how the rules have changed.
Okay.
And you're also up against a potential change again in early July. And so if you're able to get your application in before that, it will be reviewed under the existing LDRs. If not, the new LDRs will apply.
Yes, that was the case last time. I had medical treatment, so I wasn't able to meet the deadline last time.
Okay.
It's my intention to do so this time.
Okay, good. All right, let's, can you give us a 3-sentence overview of your project? And
I want to draw one line on my property, dividing a 1.37.
speak up, please, and move the mic.
I would like to draw one line on my property to divide it from a 1 acre 0.37 lot to split that into a 1 acre lot and a 0.37 lot.
Okay. So we will review the staff report and look at the highlighted comments. The first comment, number 1, is it's about are you intending to increase allowable density by using transfer development rights?
Yes, I have a TDR option contract signed.
Okay.
It is my intention to do that. I'd love to not do it, but because I don't intend to build, but it is what I have to do, so I will do it.
Okay. Any questions? The second comment, this is regarding future subdevelopment. The applicant has instead proposed a potential home configuration in which the home on Lot 2 faces south. And staff recommends the board discuss this choice with the applicant. Factors beyond 15.A, 16C, sub 9 through 11 above that may be relevant to the conversation are allowable septic and well locations as a distinct concept from the desired septic and well locations and potential future subdivision of the lot as discussed above. What is the rationale for facing the home south?
As I mentioned in a prior meeting, there is a rhythm of homes on this lot that essentially face south, and rather than follow the rather dense housing that has been placed in that direction, we're keeping the pattern, the more spacious and open pattern of these 3 houses with their driveways facing south. It's a more aesthetically pleasing arrangement.
Comments from the board?
Well,
And-
what's our discretion? Can we permit that?
At sketch, it's a conversation. The future LDRs, as noted in the staff report, will allow up to 11 homes. Practically, I think that this lot has the potential for maybe 7 homes.
My goodness.
Given the current layout. That's just me looking at it and saying, yeah, slice there.
That's high density.
If the future owners of this land want to go that route and subdivide, the LDRs do specify that the board can require an applicant to lay out lots in a way such that the full subdivision potential can be realized. And that's sort of the last comment that we'll get to, but all of these things sort of feed into that last comment of should a master plan be required? You know, it's a very unusual case in that there's a lot of potential here, but the applicant is under the current rules, which is a little less strong in requiring master planning than the potential future rules, which are a little more strict. And also the applicant only wants to do one additional unit. So just keep that in mind as we go through the rest of this, I guess.
Just to clarify, so the potential in the future LDRs for a subdivision, that intense is even though this is well and septic?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, could you say that again? If this is served by water, could it have that much? It's currently not served by water, but
That's what I was asking essentially is we know because the state has passed some laws that if it's served by water and sewer, that the development potential has gone up.
right.
I was
Marla
just
told us.
clarifying for my own education that would apply to lots that are not served by public water and or public sewer.
Currently, right, this is all I can do under the current laws, I believe, as of discussions that we've had. I can only build one unit at this point. And I would love to have the application go through by July and just do it as is, because I don't intend to build. My fiancé is going to be coming to live with me there. I just need it as a separate asset. So it would seem very extraneous to have to do a master plan. So I'm really hoping we can go forward with it as it is.
So, if I can ask a question of staff. So basically, this layout is allowable under the current regulations. Would it not be allowable under the future proposed regulations that are changing in July?
It would be allowed. There's no minimum density currently
Okay.
contemplated for the LDRs.
Okay.
The future LDRs just are
And-
sort of in several small ways encourage a closer look at future development potential.
Yep. So, is the staff's comments about the density that the city is sort of projecting on it with the revisions to the LDRs, as well as sort of like the pattern language that's been developed heading north on Highland Terrace?
Right.
But it's up to us as the board whether we, as a board, are okay with that and under the current regulations.
Right. And I think, the way Eric has shown the home here is actually not bad. I would maybe move the line 10 feet one way or the other, but that's, small potatoes. Because it allows an additional lot on the far east side, right, potentially.
Yeah.
And that home could face east.
But why?
If they so
why-
chose.
But so I might even go so far as to say, well, if you want to lightly acknowledge future development potential, you could require establishment of a building envelope on the western half of the lot and say, you can subdivide here, but you also have to, not site your home square in the middle.
I see what you're saying.
Why are we concerned with what the pending regulations would
Because
call?
it's likely that they will be warned as early as the first week of July. And once they are warned, they are effective. So we're real close to this application being subject to the pending
Well,
regulations.
as long as they file for their preliminary before then, they're under their vested rights are under these current regulations, correct?
It would need to be a complete
Complete.
and paid application before the council warns the amendments.
Okay. Okay.
And that is your
You understand
intent
that?
at this point?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I would definitely check with staff what is deemed complete, because we have had applications that like missed one little plumbing note or something like that, and it was deemed incomplete. So
Right.
make sure you check with them. And I know
The
you're working-
recommendation is not wait
Yes.
until the last minute, but
Right,
get it
exactly.
in at least 2
Yep.
weeks in advance,
make
and then
sure that
there's
you
plenty
have
of time to
time.
fix things.
Because I mean, I'll just weigh in on my own personal, honest opinion on the application. I do hear what Marla's saying about you might want to look at the lot line between, the 1 acre lot and the 0.37 acre lot. Maybe look at shifting it a little bit to make the 1 acre lot a little smaller and the other one a little bigger. That allows for some future potential development. But I like the idea of having the corner undeveloped only because of sight lines and putting a driveway so close to the corner. and you are kind of keeping the pattern language of that street there, entering into and turning the corner on the higher density development. So I mean, if I think as Marla said, in the city's direction they want to go in, you're not required to do it. You're not required to develop it down the road, but it does give some more future financial benefit for that potential development. But I would say if you wanted to like shift it, like Marla said, 10 feet, a little bit, make that one lot a little smaller, I'm okay with it as is. But that does give some potential development down the road if you so choose to pull that trigger. But you can just proceed with this one as is.
Yeah, I'm really very interested in proceeding. I've already spent probably $5,000 on surveys and drawings. And again, my intention is to have it as an asset, not to develop it. We're probably going to live there 10 years without touching it. So I would really like to just move forward and not spend any more money on things that aren't going to happen.
Charlie, did you have a question? No, okay.
It is.
About
I'm
the
sorry.
benefit of moving the line for
Sure,
the.
Mike on.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're talking about the benefit of moving the line for the future development of this future lot, right? It could be also a benefit to him to keep it this way so that it can't be as developed in the future if he intends to continue to live in the
Right.
in lot
That's
one,
true.
right?
Yeah.
So it's.
And
I
that's,
understand like we want to encourage development.
It's nice visually. There are a lot of children that play, and you can kind of see as you go around the corner. You can
Right.
see who's there. You can see people walking dogs. So it is nice to have that with that open feeling, I think.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to number 3. Staff recommends the board direct the applicant to demonstrate that the proposed location is designed in accordance with the state's potable water supply program as part of the application for final plat review. So that's something in the application that we'd have to look at, correct?
Right. So the final plot application should include demonstration that the well that you've conceptualized is viable.
And what's the what documentation is required for that?
Typically, there's a well yield analysis.
Sorry?
Typically, it's a well yield analysis. You can ask your engineer, though.
There have been plenty done on that street.
Okay. We have one, right?
What?
We have a well as
We
well.
have a well, yeah.
But all they need to do to preserve their treatment under the current regs is to get the preliminary plat in, and this,
So as a minor, there is no preliminary plat.
pardon?
As a minor application, it's sketch and final. There's no preliminary.
Oh, okay, all right. So when they do their application, that's it.
Yep.
so yeah, that's something you're going to need to jump on if you want to get it in deemed complete before the new LDRs are.
And who renders the well yield analysis? Is there a company that does that? Is there?
Your engineer should be able to help you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to number 4. This is whether or not we should require the installation of street trees. What are your thoughts, board?
So there are some 3 very large willows on that far end that is going to be left. There are 3 really quite large, beautiful willows.
I've included a tree plan based on the last meeting of what trees that I have planted with the intention of keeping them all. I've added 10 trees to the property. Those willows have been growing for 10 years, and I planted them with my father and my son, so I have no intention of taking them down.
Are there street trees around the corner?
Oh, you mean on which corner?
Well, the continuation of
Terrace.
Highland Terrace, right, yeah.
There are some small ones that people have planted. Most of them have been completely removed for the development. My trees are the only ones that are older than 10 years. The whole street it's just small little trees that have been planted.
So it would not be out of character with the neighborhood not to make the requirement, is that right, Marla?
I think it's been a little of both. I remember one application, I don't think it's the next lots, but I think it's the lots after that. The board did require street trees. The rules have changed a lot over the time that development, like even from lot to lot of the ones that have been developed. So it's all over the place.
I would argue that this is very much in character with Edith's property across the street and Frank and Deb's property also. All of these lots around this corner of Highland Terrace have lots of mature trees. And this a lot of integrity in this section as you turn into Highland Terrace. And I think what I have here is very in keeping with what Edith has across the street and what Frank and Deb have across the street also.
I guess just keep in mind that, you know, the board has no authority to govern trees on a single-family home lot.
Okay, so board, what are your thoughts?
Wouldn't require it.
I think it's fine the way it is,
So
personally.
do I.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the last comment. Staff recommends the board review, discuss, and provide feedback on their determination regarding the master plan to the applicant. It strikes me that if you are committed to get this in before the early part of July, you have great incentive to do so.
And so essentially what I'm seeing is that I need a well yield analysis. Is there anything else that I need at this time from to meet the requirements?
You're gonna have to go through the LDR Appendix E and look at the submission checklist.
I've gone through every single point, both the old Appendix E and the new Appendix E. I've gone through every single item. And I included a list in my application of every single item. So maybe I'll come in and meet with you and we to discuss that.
Okay, sounds great.
Okay. Anything else? Board, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any public comment? Okay, I would entertain a motion to close, meaning we don't have to do that, okay.
Wave goodbye.
At some point, I'll
Wish
get
them good
that.
luck.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Hope to see you in
And,
June or early July.
get her done.
Absolutely.
Get it done.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay. We have one remaining item, and that's the minutes of May 7th. And I reviewed them, and they looked fine to me. Anyone have any comments about the minutes? Because you've all read them. And
I scroll through them right here.
would entertain a motion, unless there's some discussion, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes of May 7 as written.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Great, they are approved.
Other business. So,
What?
It
We
is
never have other business.
that time of year where DRB applications are due. So I have sent a note to our 2 expiring board members. I don't know if you sent them in or not. Stephanie, I've heard from you. Need yours by June
I
3rd.
sent it to you.
To
Did you-
me,
Well, I sent it to,
the person listed.
right, but I
Great.
sent a copy to you. No one's acknowledged receipt one way or the other.
Maybe try again. I didn't get it.
Okay.
Will you share with us, Stephanie and Frank, whether you're interested?
Yeah, I should, I'd
good.
love to do it.
Stephanie?
I will be bidding you all farewell.
Oh, really? We will
Stephanie is
miss
a
you.
victim of the housing crisis.
And that I want to purchase a home and am priced out of our
Right.
beautiful community.
Okay. Good for you, though. We'll miss you. You've been a good member of this committee.
I'm sad.
Yes. Good luck. Where are you going?
Well, that's to be determined. I just know that I will not be here for 3 more years.
Yeah.
And hopefully it'll be gone within a year. But
Yeah. Well,
and
good
it'll
luck.
be outside of Chittenden County, but I will still work
Of
in
course.
the area. So
Yeah.
it will be that far.
That's really depressing that you think you're priced out.
Well,
You've seen the home prices currently.
They're ridiculous.
It's just a little too high for my personal preference. And
Jeez.
ability.
Oh, yeah, there is that.
And desire.
And what happens to
well-
people with bad jobs? I mean, they can't live
Well,
anywhere.
that's the issue. That's the issue at hand.
So that's all I had for other business. So there will be an open position. And, you know, if you know anyone who has said, oh, I might want to do that, let them know now is the time of year.
I've never heard someone say that.
Interesting. That's all I had for other business. If you would like to officially end the meeting, it is currently 7:51.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I hope you have a good holiday weekend.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Stephanie, when are you up?
Wait.
I mean, are you done now?
I think the end of June,
Okay,
but I have a conflict with the last meeting, so I think my last meeting might be the next.
okay, all right.
Marla,
Yes.
I thought